represent the spirit of the Canaanites. The Canaanites were to be utterly destroyed when the children of Israel went into the wilderness. And today we'll look and see how that was accomplished. Have you ever seen a track meet where people are running and as they're coming around that final turn, they start looking back, seeing who's behind them? You ever notice that? Well, I ran track in college, and our coach in college, he would kick you off. He'd kick you off the team if you ever look back. His theory and his philosophy was, if you're looking back, you're not running as fast as you need to be. You're seeing how little it will take to get to there before this guy passes me. He knew that when you took your eyes off of your race and started concentrating on somebody else's race, you weren't worth a dime. That guy is going to possibly blow by you. If you look back and you stepped out of your lane, you're disqualified. If you look back and you stumbled, you're out of the race. You do yourself and the team no good. So when you're looking back, you're not running your race. When you're looking forward and you're running your race, you run to the finish line. But when I ran, he would discipline you if you ran and stopped at the finish line. We were never allowed to stop at the finish line. We always had to run 10 yards beyond the finish line. Because sometimes in confusion and exhaustion, you think that might be the finish line, but it may not be the finish line. We always had to run beyond. To run the race that was our race, and if we ran with the full abilities that we had, with all the energy and the concentration on our race, we didn't have to worry about who's behind us. If they passed us when we're running our race, that is just their benefit. They were faster and stronger than we. When we start looking back at how much further do I have to run, and when will I be finished, we stop running the quality race that God called to us. Judges, the first chapter. We find in the first chapter, the first verse, that Joshua has now died. The sons of Israel are asking God, who shall go up first for us against the Canaanites to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. I have given the land into his hand. Then Judah said to Simeon, his brother, come up with me into the territory allotted me, and that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I in turn will go with you into the territory allotted you. And Judah went up, and the Lord gave the Canaanites and the Perizzites into the hands, and they defeated 10,000 men of Bezek. What are you going to do? What are we going to do, God? What are we supposed to do? We don't seem to have the leadership we used to. We don't have Moses and we don't have Joshua. What are we going to do? He says, go and defeat the Canaanites. Run them out. Get rid of them. Take care of them. 27th verse. But Manasseh did not take possessions of Bethshean. But Manasseh did not take possession of Bethshean. Bethshean was a stronghold for the Gentiles for years and years and years. Because Manasseh didn't take Bethshean. Megiddo, they didn't take Megiddo and its villages. So the Canaanites persisted in living in that land. And it came about when Israel became strong that they put the Canaanites to forced labor, but they did not drive them out completely. My message today is, what happens when you become strong? What happens when you become strong? There's two times in your life that you're most vulnerable. After a great victory and after a great defeat. So what does that leave you? That leaves you in this period here. Here's the low period and here's the high period. And after you have become strong and you've had a great victory and you think everything is going great, what do? You slough back. You stop running. You start thinking about, I'm going to rest. I deserve a rest. When you've had a defeat, what happens? It feels like God has left me. My prayers are not answered. Woe is me. I'm going to go off and eat worms. Big worms, slimy worms that just go down quickly. Oh, woe is me. The spectrum, one end or the other, we're suffering because we have not taken advantage of what God has given us and taken the Canaanite spirit and defeated it and had it out of our lives. Look at individuals. Individuals who've worked all their lives to accomplish some goal. Maybe an athlete, it might be an actress, it may be a singer. You look at the younger singers that we've had as an example lately. They sold millions and millions of records. They've gone off into drugs. They don't put their child in an infant seat. They drive with that child in their arms. They get in trouble for it. They get drunk. They get hung over. What happens? When you get to the top, you think you've got it all, but you're not satisfied if you do not have Christ in your life. You are not satisfied. And even when you do have Christ in your life, it is a struggle. It is a struggle. You take a young man like Earl Campbell, goes through college and he goes through pro. When he goes in from high school, he is an outstanding Christian. He's a strong Christian. He goes to the University of Texas, and he gets out of the University of Texas. He goes and he's drafted by the Houston Oilers, and he goes through all kinds of problems, and he starts advertising, chewing tobacco, and he starts doing all these things. What happens? He loses sight of who he is and what he's supposed to be. It's hard to be on top. If it wasn't hard to be on top, the team that won the Super Bowl 10 years ago would still be winning it. Very few teams can be persistent and win it one year and win it the following year. Very few teams. The team that won it last year, where are they this year? They're not in the Super Bowl. Those teams who have previously won it are now playing again. Except, I guess, Boston didn't win it lately, but they're trying again. They see what it was like to be on top, and they want to get there again. But you cannot get there if you lose sight of who Christ is in your life. Cannot do it. When they